Hi, everyone. Welcome. Welcome. We'll be starting in a couple of minutes, but just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Francesca. I am the Entomology and Global Disease Biology Academic Advisor. We're just happy to have you. Congratulations on your acceptance. We just want to kind of start getting familiar with some features on Zoom as more folks are tuning into our webinar. I want to bring your attention down to the bottom panel on your screen. There are a couple of options. There's a Q&A option. I'm hoping that we could kind of try that out. And maybe if everyone wants to send in a little chat about where you're calling in from, where you're tuning in from, and then us as panelists can see where folks are calling in from, and maybe we're calling in from different states or different countries, and so it'll be awesome to see. So yeah, so on the bottom, this will be our Q&A function. For now, you can use that to just kind of shout out where you're calling in from. I'll give you more instructions on how we're going to use that for our webinar throughout the webinar, and then of course at the end when we have a couple of minutes for Q&A. Oh, cool. So someone's tuning in from Portland, from Sacramento. Awesome. Livermore, LA. Bakersfield. Very cool. From San Diego, that's awesome. And Fresno, great. Yeah, I'm seeing more and more folks join in. So for those of you who just tuned in, welcome again. We are just gonna wait a couple more minutes before we begin. Yeah, South San Francisco. Oh, Brentwood, I'm from Brentwood. Oh, that's awesome. San Francisco, Santa Barbara, Menlo Park, Bay Area, Simi Valley, Walnut Creek, Dublin, awesome. Cool. And maybe just using again that Q&A function on the bottom, if you could write where you're, or what's a word that describes what you're feeling today? Excited, chill, nervous, looking forward to things, tired. Yep, I feel that. A little anxious. Okay. Excited, sleepy. Awesome. Optimistic. Great word. Excited. Very cool. Some folks are tuning in from Palm Springs. Some folks are feeling nervous, feeling relaxed, feeling excited. Awesome. Awesome. So again, just welcome to everyone that's tuning in. I love this. GDB is going to be awesome. I'm definitely excited. Me too. I love GDB. And we're excited to share more about the major. I'm sure you've tuned in to some of our freshman or transfer webinars, but we're excited to share more and also meet you during our sessions. Cool. So anything else that folks are excited about coming into UC Davis? Cool. Living on campus, yeah, definitely a change, a transition. The cows, yeah, the infamous cows near one of our freshman dormitories. There's a huge like cow area where folks like to feed the cows and take pictures with the cows. So yeah, that's gonna be fun. Awesome. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. We just hit 2:05. So welcome everyone. My name is Francesca. I am the Entomology and Global Disease Biology Academic Advisor, and we're just really excited to have you here. Welcome. Congratulations on your admission to UC Davis. We're really looking forward to meeting you. As you can see, my colleagues also turned on their video. So we'll go ahead and get started with some introductions and then move into a brief overview of our majors. And then of course we have a Q&A section. On the bottom of your screens, there's a panel with a Q&A button. Go ahead and as we're giving our presentation, send in questions and then we'll be able to answer them either through the chat. One of our peer advisors, Lisa's on here, and we can also hold those questions for after the presentation. Great, so let's do some introductions. So welcome, great.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Andrea Guggenbichler. I am the outgoing academic advisor for the Global Disease Biology major. A couple things about me. I'm a former Global Disease Biology student. I actually graduated from UC Davis with a BS in Global Disease Biology back in 2018. A quick fun fact about me, I am soon to be starting a Master's in Public Health or MPH program, actually also here at Davis. So although I might not be your advisor for your time here, if you see me around campus when we're back on campus, feel free to come up and say hi. I'm happy to answer any of your questions. And then my favorite part about advising is watching students succeed and helping them achieve their goals.
Awesome. And then hi, everyone. Again, my name is Francesca de las Salas. I'm the academic advisor for Global Disease Biology and Entomology. So I'll be meeting with all of our incoming students in both of those programs. A little bit about me. I'm also UC Davis alumna. I graduated with my psychology and religious studies degree, but my time working with student services really brought me here in this position. And I really love meeting with students and hearing, like I said, on the bottom part, my favorite part of advising is hearing students pursue their passions and their interests. So I'm really excited to meet you all. Fun fact about me, I love Booty Yoga. If you haven't tried it, the ARC actually offers some classes on Booty Yoga. That's where I discovered it. And we can chat about that later too in our one-on-one time.
Hi, I'm Elvira Galvan Hack. I'm the academic advisor for animal biology. I'm a proud owner of 2 dogs and a bearded dragon that I actually inherited the bearded dragon from one of my students that graduated last year. A fun fact about me, I love to ride motorcycles as a passenger, strictly as a passenger. Favorite part of advising and being the advisor for animal biology is I like supporting my students and getting to know them.
Great. Hey, everyone. I'm Tracy Dieslin. I work as an academic advisor in the College of Agricultural and Environmental Science Dean's Office. I'm originally from Boston. I've been out in California for about 10 years now. A fun fact is I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Central America when I graduated from college. So that was a really cool experience if anyone's considering the Peace Corps. And my favorite part of advising is partnering with students to help them overcome any obstacles in the way of their goals. So I just find that really rewarding. It's really good to meet you all. Okay, so now we're going to get into our presentation and we'll cover about maybe 25 minutes of content and then we'll have an opportunity for Q&A at the end. I wanted to introduce you to your College of Ag Environmental Sciences network of support. So it's super important to know that as a new student on campus, you don't have to do this alone. There's a lot of different options to get support, whether it's from the UAP Dean's Office, which is my office. We can help you with things like major exploration, navigating the university requirements, general education requirements, and college requirements. So there's kind of all those different areas that you need to be thinking about. We can help you articulate college policies and procedures, which sometimes can be a little bit confusing for students. So that's what our job is, to help you navigate the university. And any kind of general questions that you have, we are here to support you. Your major advisors that you're going to get to know today, they are experts in your major. So they're going to help you with all kinds of questions about scheduling, when to take which classes, what prerequisites you fulfilled and which ones are remaining. They're going to also help you connect to research and internship opportunities. So being one of the top research institutions, it's really great opportunity for you to take advantage of all the different faculty that are doing some really wonderful things on campus. And then the Dean's Office and the major advisors, we do overlap because there's some things that we do that are similar in terms of recommending classes, referring to the wealth of campus resources, and then helping you get involved in different clubs and opportunities on campus. And we'll talk at the end about some that are available within our college. Faculty advisors are a great resource for you. Your faculty advisors are your instructors. They're people who you might do research with. They are a great support for you. And then peer advisors are the students that are within the major or within the college that can give you that student perspective. So we really want you to know that you have a really vast network of support here within the college. Okay, now we're going to get into global disease biology.
All right. Hi again, everyone. So I'm going to be going over some information about global disease biology. So for all my global disease biology friends in the office, hello. We're going to be talking about your major quickly. So a brief introduction. So what is global disease biology? GDB is what we usually call in shorthand. And GDP is the study of One Health and the One Health model, as well as the concepts of disease, societal and personal impacts of the past, present, and future diseases, as well as the science behind disease discoveries, causes, evolution, diagnosis, treatment, and prevention. So kind of a big umbrella of things. This might sound a little bit confusing right now, but once you go through our orientation, you'll have a much better grasp on what all of this means. And if you have questions about any of the things in the slide, please feel free to throw them in the Q&A, and I'm happy to answer them at the end as well. Our major has a lot of cool features. These features include a practicum project, 25 units of restricted electives, which I'll go over in a moment, and an amazing alumni network. Perfect. So the first thing I really wanted to kind of go into a little bit depth is our really cool trait about our major, which is our restricted electives. Restricted electives are a set of usually upper division courses, 25 units total, that you as a global disease biology student get to pick and choose. So we allow these 25 units of kind of fluid courses so that you are able to personalize the major and make it really what you want it to be. These units give the students opportunities to explore fields of health and disease and find a way to study this in a way that you're passionate about. So we try to make it so that we can really help you steer your major into a direction that's going to help you in your future career or educational efforts. Another cool thing I wanted to talk about was the Global Disease Biology Practicum. And the Practicum project is a 1 to 2 quarter research experience, and it allows global disease biology majors to benefit from working with a faculty or researcher in a specific field related to health and disease. So it completely depends on what kind of research you're interested in and which aspects of health and disease you're interested in. But generally speaking, we haven't had a student yet who hasn't been able to find some sort of research that they're interested in. And don't worry, we give lots of opportunities to help you get invested into research. We have 2 courses that talk about how to get involved. We have a first year Aggie connection that helps you get involved. And our advising office is always open to help as well. So basically this project is here to help students build connections with faculty and with the community, and gives you a unique opportunity to dive into your passions in a little bit more of a directed way. Okay, and I chose to put this in here because this is by far one of the most asked questions I get in terms of orientation and students coming in, new students, and that's what can I do with a degree in global disease biology? So the short answer is that it's really up to you. The really cool thing about our major is that with the practicum and with those 25 units of restricted electives, you are able to personalize the major so much and steer it in a direction that leads you to your passions, whether that be working in policy, public health, becoming a plant pathologist, working with environmental safety, going to vet school or med school. We have lots of students going to graduate programs, law schools. So there really is something for everyone, and I encourage all of you in your one-on-one advising appointment for orientation to kind of let us know what your goals are and tell us what direction you want to go in. And we have lists and lists of courses that can help you reach those goals. Perfect. So where do you go from here, my global disease biology students? So for Aggie advising information, we have so much more information and so much more depth to go in on all of this information that you've gotten today. So if you haven't already been added to our orientation Canvas page, please shoot an email to what's on the screen here. And Lily, if you would be so kind as to put that in the chat as well so they can copy and paste it, that would be fantastic. And then, so yeah, this email is your #1 way to contact our office. The Canvas page that I'm referencing will provide an in-depth look into our major requirements, sample schedules, and the practicum project. So we'll go over all of that in a lot more detail. We chose to use Canvas because it's going to be the platform that you're using the most for your courses. So we wanted to get you a little bit of an introduction into that. And we ask that you complete the modules and quizzes on Canvas before scheduling an appointment. And in fact, the instructions for specifically scheduling an appointment with our office are embedded in the Canvas modules. So like I said, if you haven't been added to the Canvas or haven't checked it out yet, please do so. And if you haven't been added, email our gdbadvice.edu email and we'll get you added.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Andrea. And some of you have already completed these Canvas modules, which is awesome. You may have already received a confirmation email for our one-on-one appointment, but of course we can talk about that at the end when we go over next steps. So entomology, I want to welcome our new entomology incoming students, and just begin by saying a little bit of what entomology is. You'd be surprised by how many folks don't know what entomology is. So the entomology major is the study of insects. It's designed to develop an understanding of fundamental biology concepts by studying insects and using them as the model system to expand further into animals and therefore also people. We also have a similar kind of setup as the global disease biology major in the form of restricted electives. And restricted electives, while it's not on this slide, I can of course talk to you more about that in our one-on-one appointment, but gives you the opportunity to create a focus area. So here are some of the focus areas that we have in our major. So agricultural entomology, insect systematics and evolution, behavior and ecology, medical entomology, and insect molecular biology, physiology, and toxicology. So that's a little bit about what entomology is. On the next slide, we have what can you do with entomology? So some careers in entomology do require professional graduate programs, and I found that a lot of our students do move forward in their education and pursue vet school or med school, moving into biotechnology as well as conservation biology. And some folks go even further with their research and get their PhD. And so there's a lot of tracks with entomology. One thing that I want to highlight that's specific to our entomology students who are graduating with bachelor's degrees are that these students are highly sought out. So the preparation that you receive here at UC Davis gives you the ability to translate your skills into the full-time field right after your education here. And I know my colleagues and I have gone to career fairs where folks from state and federal government positions or departments are looking for fresh out of undergrad entomologists. And so that's a really cool thing about our program. We do have internship programs that are connected with the California Department of Food and Agriculture. And that gives students a good way to really boost themselves up and put their foot in the door for the field. We also have careers in insect diagnostic laboratories as well. In the next slide, yes, so the Research Scholars in Insect Biology program is a very competitive and also unique program that's very connected to our department. The goal is to really provide that mentorship and academic relationship between the incoming student and faculty member. And so what this program looks like, it's a 2 to 3 year commitment with usually starting in your first or second or transfer year. And this program gives you the opportunity to work closely with one of our faculty members in our department. But this program is also very extensive and allows for that integration of other fields. So evolution and ecology, microbiology, biological sciences. We do have faculty members who are also part of this and who are also wanting to get involved in student learning and also their preparation for research. So the long-term goal is obviously to develop a long-term relationship and mentor relationship with our faculty members, but it gives you the opportunity to also prepare for that graduate school path that you're going on or get more involved with the field overall. So I know that was not a ton of information. We wanted to briefly overview our majors and then make space for some Q&A. Feel free again to use that Q&A function on the bottom of your screens to send any questions that come up, and we'll be able to answer them at the end of this presentation. Once you've completed your Aggie 101 modules, go ahead and email the ent-advise email, so ent-advise@ucdavis.edu, and we can set up an appointment and talk more in depth about entomology and also the different resources and programs you'd be interested in during your time here at UC Davis. So welcome again, and I'll go ahead and transition over to Elvira for the animal biology program.
Hi, I want to welcome all the new animal biology majors. You can contact us anytime. What is animal biology? The animal biology major is a research-based major. It emphasizes its place in the principles that can be used in research or in solving societal problems associated with animals. You learn to do science by working with animals, basically. The major combines a research project similar to like global disease biology. It's called a practicum paper, and you can, under the guidance of a mentor, you choose 25 units of restricted electives that are directly associated with that research that you're doing. So it actually gives you a specialization. So when you graduate, you have a specific specialization. This gives students a freedom though. The practicum gives students a freedom to design, basically to design your own major, creating your own specialization, choosing classes and research topics within that you're interested in. So it really does give you a lot of opportunity to mold the major into something very specific in your interest. So we'll go to the next. Okay, what can you do with an animal biology major? There is so much you can do. It really depends on what your passion is, what your interest is, because you get a solid background in biological sciences, ecology and evolution, the scientific methods, scientific writing. It's totally up to you on what you want to do with it. We help guide you. You take a lower division group of classes that teaches you how to do science, learn science, and evaluate science. And so the careers that you can do are endless. We have students working with dolphins and sonar in the military. We have students that are working as an undergraduate and as an underwater photographer. And of course, in professions of graduate school and backgrounds of animal biology, animal behavior, environmental science, conservation, biology, immunology, pathology, and education and teaching. And of course, a lot of our students that come into our major are interested in vet school or med school. We have a big number of students that do go on to vet school. We have actually a really good track record of students getting into vet school all over the country, including out of the country. You can do animal rescue, sanctuaries, work in zoos and aquariums. You have an opportunity to do your practicum project at the San Francisco Zoo with one of our faculty members there. And then you can work with government agencies like the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services. Okay, this is a question that we get a lot because people think that we are in the same department as animal science, and we're two totally different departments and two completely different majors. The animal science major focuses more on agricultural management, husbandry, production, for human food consumption. They also have a specialization in domestic animals and farm animals. Where animal biology is a research-based major, it doesn't focus on any particular group of students because you're not really working with a group of students. Animals, not students, group of animals. It's how to do science with animals, basically. So you're going to learn how to do science working with animals. Which major is better if I want to apply to vet school is another question that we always get. There are equally great majors. Both of them will get you what you want to go to vet school, grad school. It'll give you the training that you need. You'll get some of your prerequisites done with our major requirements within the major. We have the same percentage as animal science does in getting our students into vet school every year. Although we only have 325 students currently and animal science has 1,400 students. So if you look at the percentage on that, we have a really good percentage there. Where do you go to from here? Aggie advising information, you can contact us at abi-advising@ucdavis.edu. Those emails go to Lisa, our peer advisor, and myself, and we'll reply and give you the information, and of course through Aggie 101, and then you'll see in a few minutes when I'm gonna start opening up the appointment system for you to start making your appointments. Welcome again, and I look forward to meeting you.
Awesome. So that was a little bit about our three majors. I know that was super brief. We're about to transition into our time of Q&A, but just for your reference, if you want to take a screenshot or just jot these websites down really quickly, there are websites. The gdb.ucdavis.edu website was actually all of our websites were recently renovated, and so they have the most updated information on there. So go ahead and take a look. For entomology, I just want to highlight that it's the new student tab specifically that has the new information. Of course, feel free to look at the undergraduate pages because that also has helpful information. But yeah, we'll just direct you to these websites, and then we can also transition into sort of next steps. Awesome. Yeah, so just to summarize a little bit of what we each talked about, we're going to have one-on-one appointments with you where we can talk about more of your questions and also the sample plans that we can create to get you started and ready for your fall quarter. For global disease biology, this one's a little different in that we have Canvas modules for you to complete before making an appointment. So in the email that I sent out to everyone, when you receive when you find the code word and finish all of the modules, you can go ahead and send the email to gdb-advice.ucdavis.edu. And I will go ahead and schedule some time with you. These are some general dates, so June 1st to July 15th for first year appointments, and July 1st to August 7th, just so that we give you some time for our transfer students who have just SIR'd to complete those modules, but feel free whenever you finish to send an email over, and then we can definitely coordinate a time. For entomology and animal biology, we're happy to meet with you as soon as you finish your Aggie 101 modules. So go ahead and get those started, and then you can also send us an email at our respective listservs. Cool. So I believe we're gonna move, oh great, ways to get involved. Tracy, do you wanna jump in and kind of?
Yeah, thanks so much, Francesca. So there are a lot of really great ways to get involved within the college. So your major advisor talked about ways to get involved with the major a little bit, and you can connect with them in that one-on-one advising appointment, and you can learn even more ways to get involved. But I just wanted to highlight a few of our favorite programs here in the dean's office or within the college. So Aggie Ambassadors is a great leadership program that you will learn about more in orientation. It's a really great way to get involved with peers all across the college. And there's a lot of really fun events and outreach activities that the group does. So that's one thing that I wanted to focus on. Manners is a great way in terms of accessing diversity in STEM majors. And so there's a lot of really amazing programs that they're doing, and you will again learn more about these different programs throughout orientation, but you can always Google UC Davis Manners or take a screenshot of this and find out more information online. Career discovery groups is a class that you can take in the fall. I strongly recommend you consider it. It's a 1-unit course. You are partnered with a graduate student mentor. It's a really great way to start to kind of think about, like Elvira was going into, like, okay, like what can I do with my major? Do I go into vet school or do I go into something else? And so all of your major advisors today talked about different career routes and career paths, and really being a college student is a great way to discover more about yourself and kind of what it's like to do these jobs. Study break. So every quarter during finals week, we have what's called a study break, where we have our dean right there in that picture, and one of our outreach coordinators, Ruby, or our outreach coordinator, Ruby, and some students. So this is where we provide refreshments. We're your barista. We make you a nice drink, coffee or tea, and give you some snacks and just kind of like give you that pep talk before our finals and that little break. Slice of Advising is probably my favorite event. It's an opportunity to get together with other students in an informal way and also get to talk to an advisor within the dean's office. So we do a lot of good events on campus, and I hope that you'll consider getting involved. So a couple of housekeeping things that we didn't mention, and we are going to go into contact information as well. We do have Lily Bynes here. She's one of the dean's office advisors. She's the one that's been answering some of your questions. We also have a peer advisor here as well who's been answering questions. This is being recorded, so you can always access it at a later date, and those students who are unable to attend will be able to access it as well. So any kinds of questions that you have specifically for the college dean's office, so you can email caseadvising@ucdavis.edu. The campus is physically closed at the moment, but we are located in 150 Marac Hall. And our telephone number is listed, but the best way to get in touch with us is over email. Make sure you go ahead and connect on Instagram and Facebook in terms of keeping up to date with all of our events that we offer and all the different notifications that come out. So we hope you'll get in touch. We look forward to meeting with you. And I think now everyone's going to come back on, and we're going to go ahead and dive into our questions. All right. So going back to that last slide here. All right, so Francesca, do you want to remind folks about submitting questions and sort of, how we're going to go through the questions today?
Yeah, great. Thanks. Thanks, Tracy. So as I said, on the bottom of your screen, there's a Q&A button where you can submit some questions, and we'll be answering some of those questions live with all of you, and some of them might be answered privately. So make sure you check that Q&A button to see if you've gotten a response from us. Quickly, I just wanted to introduce our peer advisor, Lisa, because she's also available and a resource for you. And yeah, Lisa, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, hi. Thank you, Francesca. So again, my name is Lisa, and we have a lot of peer advisors in this whole office, but I do the peer advising for animal biology specifically. Those of you in GDB, you'll be able to meet your respective peer advisors soon. They're all awesome. I'm currently a third-year animal biology student, so I'll be in my fourth year once you start your time at UC Davis. And like a lot of you animal people, I am also interested in becoming a veterinarian. That's my goal right now. I'm in the middle of applying. Let's see. And I've been the peer advisor here for 2 years actually. So I'll be going to my third year of peer advising. So I've been here for a while. So yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. And I'm really excited to get to know you all.
Great, thanks, Lisa. And Lisa's a great resource for you if any of the questions, I know we have a ton that we're going to get through. Tracy will go ahead and facilitate some of these questions and give us an opportunity to share. And if you have any questions about like the student experience, we have Lisa here and she can definitely share what it's like to be a UC Davis student.
Yeah. Thanks so much for joining us, Lisa. I love when peer advisors can be here as a panelist to help answer some questions. So I'm super excited. We have a good chunk of time for questions. So one question I wanted to direct to animal biology, is, if my major is animal biology, do I still need to complete the Canvas modules? I've never heard about this, nor did I get an email about it. So what do you think about this one? Oh, and I think you're muted there.
There we go. Actually, you don't. The Canvas modules are set up for the global disease biology major, so you don't have to do that. That's why you haven't received any information yet.
Great. Thanks so much, Elvira. This is a really great question. I really like this question. So are we able to ask our advisors for a sample schedule, or will we be going over one during our one-on-one advising? So maybe I'll direct that to Andrea. That's a really good question.
Sure. So for global disease biology major specifically, there are a couple sample schedules as you go throughout the Canvas modules, but more specifically at your one-on-one advising appointment, you'll actually sit down with an advisor and create a full year plan at your individual advising session. So we'll tailor that to your specific test scores, placement scores, all of that. So there are samples available, but when you meet with us one-on-one, we'll create one that's specifically tailored to you. And for transfer students, that also includes us. We take the time to go through your entire articulation from your community college. We articulate each course by hand, figure out which courses you still need, and create a personalized 2 to 3 year plan for you that will be available for you on your OASIS, which we'll go over in the modules for your first year, for your advising appointment with us. So yes, there are samples available on Canvas for GDB majors. I'm not sure about for entomology and animal biology majors, but you'll also get a personalized schedule when you come to us for one-on-one advising.
Great, thanks, Andrea. So I had a question about changing majors, and maybe I'll go ahead and take this one. So the question is, what is the likelihood of getting a major change approved from animal biology to animal science? So if you are interested in changing your major, that is completely okay. There's a couple of different things to consider. So if you are a first year freshman and you're coming in and you want to change your major, so long as you complete your first quarter at UC Davis in good academic standing, you can go ahead and change your major. And it's a really simple petition that is submitted through OASIS, which you'll learn all about. And we do recommend that you do meet with another major's advisor. So if you're interested in animal science, email the animal science major advisor and see if we can go ahead and set up an appointment. If you're a transfer student, you can change your major as well. One thing that does come up for transfer students is, can you complete your degree within the unit limitations at UC Davis? So you'll wanna probably meet with your current major advisor and kind of look at that, look at your unit count, look at how many transfer units you're bringing in. That might be a good question for the dean's office, and I'm sure it's also something Elvira can help you with as well. Okay, so I have a question. how can I, let's see, will my advisor be able to help me choose the elective courses for animal biology, specifically if I'm interested in getting into the UC Davis Vet School?
Actually, yes, we will. A lot of your prerequisites for vet school or UC Davis Vet School are covered within our major as far as the major requirements. So, but we can help you choose classes. We also have the Health Professional Advising Center that is the backbone of every professional school, grad school around. And they do workshops and different seminars and showing you year by year how to prepare to apply for vet school when it's time. So there's a lot of opportunities for a lot of ways of getting advice and help and guidance on what's the best thing to do, and especially tailored to the interest that you have, because in animal biology, you can actually do your specialization in something that you're really going to want to work with. You know, if you want to work with small animals or large animals or anything, you know, exotic, you know, you could do that too.
Great, thank you, Mira. Okay, so I have a question for Francesca here. Maybe you can answer this one. This is a really, really good question. These are all great questions. So the question is the date of the one-on-one appointment, so with the one-on-one advising appointment we talked about, it says pointed by staff member. So I'm thinking, like, does a staff member, staff advisor contact the student, or does the student need to sign up by themselves? So that's a really good question.
Yeah, that's a great question. So for entomology and global disease biology, Andrea kind of covered it for our GDB majors. You'll be completing the Canvas modules, and then once you've completed that, you can email gdb-advise@ucdavis.edu, and then I'll be happy to give you some available times that I'll have in my schedule, and then we can meet one-on-one. For my entomology students, you can go ahead and just email ent-advise@ucdavis.edu, and I'll do the same with providing my schedule. We hope that you can complete your Aggie one-on-one modules first, and then we can pick a time specifically for you that works for you to work through some schedules and also just answer questions about the experience at UC Davis, the resources, and the opportunities. Thanks, Tracy.
Great, thank you. Yeah, and some students were thinking, like, how long do the Aggie advising modules take and where can they find them? So Aggie 101, so you should have gotten an email with that information. If not, you can go onto the orientation page or even probably your major website. I'm sure that information is posted as well, but more than anything on the orientation page for College of Ag. And it takes about 1 to 2 hours to complete the modules. We do recommend that you do finish them prior to your appointment, just so that you're prepared. And those also might kind of get you thinking about some questions that you have. And so you want to make sure that you do complete those first. Okay. So someone asked a question. This is, I think, a good question for you, Lisa. So someone said, how or where do we contact our peer advisor? So, like, incoming students who really want to meet with a peer, what would you recommend the best way to get in touch with you is?
Yeah, that's a good question. For me specifically, since ABI advising currently is handled, or ABI peer advising is handled by just me, you can email me personally, or you can email ABI advise. Just keep in mind that those emails would be directed towards both me and Elvira, so you might get either us to respond. I can put my email in the chat as well as the ABI advice email. So feel free to reach out.
Thanks, Lisa. And then in general, like, I know that there are lots of other peer advisors on campus. So what would you recommend to students who are looking to, you know, for a drop-in appointment or, you know, be able to just ask a quick question? How do you think what would you recommend being a student?
Yeah, well, right now, since the circumstances are kind of weird, all of us peer advisors are currently doing Zoom appointments instead of drop-in. It's pretty easy. Just email us and ask us when are your available times, because we all have set hours throughout the week where we will be available to you. And even if those don't work, we're like very willing to make do. But otherwise, during the normal school year, the peer advising office is entirely drop-in, so you can come in whenever you want, chat, take a snack, you know, hang out. And it's very welcoming and very friendly. So, and we want to see you guys there. We want to get to know our students.
Yeah, I feel like it's always good to kind of just pop your head in and just know where it is in case
Yeah.
you have a really urgent question. That way you know, like, okay, yeah, this is where it is. And snacks. I mean, enough said. So we all like snacks. So I got a question for about the writing placement exam, and I want to address that question because I think that this is probably a question a lot of you have. So at UC Davis, you do have to fulfill the entry level writing requirement. So it's called ELWR. And some students do come in with transferable courses as a transfer student, or an AP exam score as a transfer student, or as someone that just graduated from high school that does fulfill the ELWR, the entry level writing. You also have college writing composition classes that you need to take. So if you haven't fulfilled the entry level writing, you do want to plan to take the Writing Placement 2020. And that will determine which class you should take to fulfill the writing placement. So when you meet with your major advisor for that one-on-one appointment, they'll have a good sense of whether or not you have satisfied the entry-level writing requirement, and they can advise you on to your next steps. But taking the Writing Placement 2020 now at the beginning of June is advised so that you're set up before you have to register for classes for the fall. So maybe in the chat feature, Lily can go ahead and send an email directly to the entry-level writing website, and that way you have that writing placement information. So coming in as a transfer student, it's likely that you've satisfied it, but it's really important to find out. So our advisors can help you navigate all of that. And one more thing I want to add is that once you are able to get into OASIS, okay, and you're comfortable with OASIS, you can actually check yourself under exams and events and see, did admissions determine that you did take it? So that's a really, really good question. Okay, so I have another animal biology question. I'm an animal biology major. This is probably good for all majors, actually. Is there an option for pursuing honors? If so, how much extra work is involved?
You do have an opportunity in pursuing honors. We do have a Davis honors program that you can be part of. It does, and we actually work with them because of the senior practicum project. You're actually doing a research project also with the honors program. So you can use the one that you write for animal biology, your research that you do there, and submit it for the honors program too. The work, you take one honors class every quarter that's designated. It's a small unit class. It has about 15 to 20 students in it. And it's, but it's basically a one-on-one. You work one-on-one with professors. You get a lot more interaction. So you really do get an opportunity to get a little bit more out of it. You do a couple of research, you take a couple of research classes showing you how to do science, even though you learned some of that in our major. But students say that the workload is not that difficult. You're doing the same. Like I said, you only have to do one thesis project, so it works out really well.
Perfect. Thanks, Elvira. So I'm going to direct this question to Andrea. And so this is a question that's coming up a lot in a lot of different ways, and it's totally okay because we know that this is something completely new, and that's why we're here today, because we want to make sure you really understand. I mean, there's so much going on. We want to make sure you really know like what needs to be done one step at a time. And so Andrea will help guide you in this very important question. So the question was, do we need to email our advisor? And we touched upon this a little bit. Do we need to email our advisor to set up an advising appointment, or can we create one on the appointment maker website? And then I had another question in terms of, oh, I lost it, in terms of appointments that said, I already met with an advisor. Do I meet with them again? Way to go if you've already met, super proactive. Are the appointments already full? So lots of questions about appointments. So Andrea, how would you best answer that question?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's totally possible if you're logging on and seeing that our appointments are full. Just keep in mind that we are ending spring quarter with our continuing students. So it's very possible that those slots are already full with our continuing students. So we might be helping them. If that's the case and you think it's a mistake, you can always email your assigned email list. So either GDB Advise, Ent Advise, or ABI Advising. To answer the part about do I need to, where is it? I lost it too.
Do we need to email advisor to set up an advising appointment, or can we create one on the appointment maker website?
Perfect.
Appointments.ucdavis.edu.
Yes, so it's appointments.ucdavis.edu. The only major you need to email for an appointment is global disease biology. And the reason for that is that we included a code word that you need to include in our Canvas modules. And that's just to ensure that you've already watched the Canvas modules and have a pretty good grasp on what the major is before going into your advising appointment, just because there's so many complexities to it. So for GDB students, yes, you'll email GDB-advise to schedule an advising appointment. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Francesca and Elvira, for entomology and animal biology students, you can go ahead and just use appointments.ucdavis.edu once you've finished Aggie 101 in order to just schedule a new student appointment with your advisor. So the only time you need to email to schedule an appointment is if you're a global disease biology student who's already finished the Canvas modules.
Perfect. So you all will be, thank you so much, Andrea. So you all will be able to register for your classes for fall in early August. So we want to make sure that you do watch all of the Aggie 101 modules, that you get through that. And then you meet with your advisor for your major. You don't have to meet with the dean's office, but you certainly can. And then you'll be able to be set up to register for your classes. So you don't have to meet with the dean's office. Students who are in the undeclared exploratory program will meet with the dean's office, but you all are assigned to a major. But if you want to, you can, you definitely can. And you should have everyone's contact information here today. And so make sure you keep that in mind, and your major advisors will be accessible to you. So I had a question in terms of just to, let's see. So on average, approximately how large are most of the animal biology courses? So I think we have a lot of animal biology representation today, which is awesome. So Elvira, what would you say, like how large are the classes? And maybe the other majors can also talk about their classroom size too.
So the 3 core classes that you take for animal biology, the 3 animal biology 50A, B, and C. One of them is a lab class. That one can hold usually about 120 students, but you're done because you're in lab sections, you're actually in a smaller group. So just the lecturers, all the students, and then the labs are smaller groups depending on what section you're in. The animal biology 50B class has an enrollment of between 60 and 70 students. They have 2 professors, so you still get to interact a lot with each other. You work in a group and do a presentation. So you get to, interact with the other students. You guys work together. You have a lot of interaction with the professors in that class. And then ABI 50C is a class, the same thing, 60 to 70 students. We try not to put it over 70 because then it doesn't give the students enough opportunity to really interact with the professors and with each other and different projects to work together. ABI 187 is your proposal class. That's where you're going to design what you want to do for your research and find a mentor. That class is generally about 35 to 45 students. It's taught twice a year because that one, Dr. Kimsey, our master advisor, teaches it. So it really gives you a lot of access to him to ask questions. You also do a presentation, so you really interact with the other students too. General classes, some of your upper division classes, are generally from 75 to 100 students of your core classes.
Great. Francesca and Andrea, do you feel like your class sizes are relatively the same for the major?
Yeah, so for entomology, there's quite a range. There's some courses that are 10 student courses, and then there's some courses that are 150. And it's a similar breakdown where some of the lecture portion, or some of the courses that have a lecture and lab portion, they do hold a lot more students in the lecture portion and then have a smaller cohort in the lab section. So there's an opportunity definitely to make connections with your TA and also with your professors. I will say for specifically the entomology program, the professors are very hands-on. And so you'll see you'll take multiple classes with them, and they'll also be pretty involved with your research and just checking in with you. And I'd say that's a highlight of our department. I know our GDB courses are huge. Andrea can speak more on the class sizes.
Yeah, thanks, Francesca. I mean, it depends. So like our introductory courses like SAS 13, which is Disease and Society, is going to be anywhere from 300 to 500 students. But then our Introductory to Global Disease Biology course is capped at 50 so that we can keep cohorts moving through the major together, so that you always have a group of people that you're moving through the major with. Additionally, our core Global Disease Biology upper division courses, I would say, are always below 150 students, but a lot of them are smaller than that. And we do that in order to keep you all, able to interact and get as much out of the courses as possible, and also to build cohorts and to work together. The global disease biology major is really about collaboration and teamwork and learning how to work together in your future fields. So we try to instill that also into the major. So a lot of the courses that you take, your pathogen disease courses, a lot of your restricted electives will be actually even smaller than 50 students. So it really just depends on what you end up taking.
Very cool. Thank you, all of you. So Lisa, I have a question for you from a student perspective. So students are asking, like, is there a list of GEs that are GEs you'd recommend to freshmen coming in? We know that, you know, part of the first quarter is having that balanced schedule. So can you share a little bit about, I think this might be kind of neat for students, like what you took, do you remember what you took your first quarter at UC Davis, your freshman year? Do you remember way back?
Oh man, I do remember way back. It's not full of GEs, I would say. I took, let's see, I took my core animal biology class. I took intro to chemistry, and let's see, I also took intro to wildlife. That one wasn't so much as a GE, but it's something that I was interested in minoring in, which I still am. So that was it's like a good time to explore different programs that you might be interested in. Throughout my first year, I did take some GEs. I remember I took some in classics, some in communications. So you can either take a lot of classes that are just like, you know, fun, or you can also take classes that are fun and also give you useful life skills. So it's always tricky to recommend specific classes just because there's probably hundreds out there. But my practical advice is, all of us being in science majors, I know a lot of the fun classes are like, you know, coffee lab or flower power. You know, the point of GEs is to find classes that aren't science. So I guess that's my advice to you right now. Just because there's so many different classes that you can choose from, and everybody has different interests. You know, I might find my wildlife class super interesting, but some other people might hate it just because that's not what they're into. So.
Yeah, I like how you mentioned that it can be a little bit of like a minor exploration too, right? So someone had asked, like, can I do a minor? Is that possible? What does that look like? Is that going to be more time at UC Davis? So minors typically end up being 20 to 24 units. Usually they're about 1 or 2 lower division classes and then maybe 4 or 5 upper division classes. And like, I know a lot of students who are in our college that do theater, and they really like that. So sometimes it's kind of a nice like balance of like, okay, you're in a STEM major and then you do something totally different for your minor, or it can be similar too. It's really up to you. And so thank you so much, Lisa, for answering that question. I had a student that asked a question about about the transfer student minoring. And so again, just to kind of talk about the minor, yes, transfer students can definitely minor. And as long as you don't have too much more than 1 class overlap with your major and your minor, you can definitely minor. You just want to figure out what's it going to look like for you. So if your goal is to be done in 2 years, or to be done in 2 years and 1 summer, you know, or 3 years, you just want to really talk to your major advisor about what you're thinking, and they can kind of see what kind of flexibility you have in your schedule to be able to add those classes in. Okay, so I had a question. This is a really interesting question. So does attending UC Davis for undergrad help or hurt my chances of being accepted to the UC Davis vet school? It's a really good question. Who would like to take that one?
I can. Actually, it really doesn't. I mean, you know, vet school is very competitive. In our majors, in animal biology, I'm not sure about, and global disease biology also, actually. We have students that are accepted to UC Davis, but we have students accepted everywhere else. So far in our major, we've had at least 1 to 3 students every year get into UC Davis, but it really doesn't. So, I mean, it doesn't matter where you attended school and you got your bachelor's degree, and it doesn't really matter in your major as long as you complete the prerequisites. So you can be an English major, complete the prerequisites to apply to vet school and get in. So it really doesn't, you know, doesn't matter that you go to vet, you know, you don't get any preference, or you don't get on the top of the list or get moved up on the list or anything like that, no.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you so much. So I had a question regarding the entry level writing requirement that I'm going to answer really quickly here. So it's, if you already have fulfilled the entry level writing requirement, do you still have to take English classes? So the answer is probably yes, because you have to satisfy the college composition requirement. So sometimes you take classes for your major that can also satisfy that requirement, but typically it's 8 units, and there's a designated list of classes that you would take. And so when you do meet with your major advisor, many of which are alumni, and that's super helpful, you can get that information from them in terms of what they would recommend doing, and you can always talk to the dean's office as well. Okay, so we have a couple more minutes here, maybe one more question. I'm sorry that we can't get to all the questions. We are doing our best, but definitely keep these in mind. If you haven't gotten your question answered, bring them to your advising appointment. Someone asked, do they have to wait for placement scores, exam scores, before they make an appointment with their advisor? What do you think, Francesca?
So I've met with students who haven't received their placement scores yet. We usually will just check in after they receive their placement scores to then modify their plan that we created if there's any changes to that, or if their placement score required them to take a course before that. I believe for most of our first years, they've already taken their placement exams. So this might be a transfer student. So go ahead and you can schedule an appointment with us, and then we'll just check in. And if needed, we can always schedule another one to just double check and make sure your fall courses are in line with what you need for the course in the quarter, and what will set you up well for the following quarters.
Great, thank you. I think this will be our last question, and whoever would like to take it can. It's a really interesting question, and I think it applies to a lot of students. Well, it definitely does. So it says, I apologize if this has already been asked, but I'm curious what this may all look like if we're completely online in the fall. Can someone speak to what it's been like with lab and lectures online? So like, Lisa, your perspective would be great. So some students are already thinking, if some classes are gonna be online, what's it gonna look like for me as a student? So Lisa, do you wanna chime in first, and then maybe a major advisor as well can chime in and give their perspective on that for fall?
Yeah, of course. So I have strictly the student's perspective on this. I definitely did take on a lot this quarter. I'm taking 5 classes plus my practicum project, which I don't recommend doing in your first quarter. And I found that all of my professors kind of handled it very differently, especially depending on the type of course they're teaching. My 500-person physiology class is going to be handled a lot differently from my 25-person writing class. And all of my professors have practiced maximum leniency throughout the entire quarter. And I found it's very helpful. Just the way things are handled might change just depending on what kind of class it is. Like for example, my writing class, we're not being graded on the quality of any of our work. Everything is graded on a contract system where we're all guaranteed a B, and we can get a higher grade if we do extra credit, just given we do everything else on time. And like in my physiology class, our class is only 3 midterms and a final, and we get a midterm score dropped. In my immunology class, he actually made the final optional, and he's giving a lot of extra credit, and he's putting a lot more weight into participation as a grade. So stuff like that. I've generally found that it really depends on the student to kind of see how you can handle online classes. Because like as someone who already works a lot just as a student and has lots of obligations outside of school, I found that time management is key to being able to get this all done. Because it's one thing to be able to walk from class to class to class in different places to sitting at your laptop for 14 hours a day if you ever have to. So that's something to keep in mind. I'm not taking any lab classes right now, so I can't speak for those, but generally my lectures have all kind of been like that, so.
Great. Anyone else want to share any thoughts?
Yeah, so some of the what Lisa said about the courses being online or in person, that's completely up to the faculty member who's teaching that course, or the instructor on record. So for instance, some of our entomology courses will be offered at a a really low maximum enrollment, but will be offered as a lab class and available to students in the fall, while others will be held completely online and hopefully asynchronously, so that students from different time zones or just different schedules that conflict with that can make it to class and be able to glean that information. I would say that the professors are good about making themselves available. I'd say most professors are good about making themselves available during office hours as they would, in person if we're not all having a remote quarter. But it really depends. So for like the lower division courses, I know this year, the Chem series, for instance, had decided to do, instead of a 3-hour lab that students are enrolled in, they actually do a 15-minute or 20-minute Zoom session where the TA demonstrates what the lab is. And then the students are still then they're still doing a pre-lab and a post-lab. So it's really up to the professor. We'll have more information as campus directives are given to us, and we'll be able to clarify more what that would look like, hopefully in our one-on-one session.
Great, thank you so much, everyone. So that's all the time that we have today. I know that there was, it looks like we're gonna go ahead and go back to that final slide, but we just want to say thank you so much for joining us today. We hope that you got some of your questions answered. Definitely make that appointment, take your placement exams, make that appointment with your major advisor, whether it's Francesca or Elvira, because Andrea, and Andrea, you are meeting with students before you leave, or no? No, probably not. That's right, because she's off to different places. So I'm going to go ahead and bring my final slide back up with all of our contact information. So if everyone can go ahead and just say goodbye to our students and mute and turn off your camera, we'll go ahead back to that slide, and I hope you all have a great rest of your summer.